to go pay his bail money. She had $500. His employer put up the other $500. I took her to go get the money from the employer. We went. We didn't make it that day. I had to take her back the next day to go pay his bail. They wouldn't release him because he had a drug charge and he had hit her, which is originally why he went into jail. Then we had to go the next day, something about getting his clothes because the county would put him in jail.
You didn't have to do anything.
No, I didn't. I did it out of goodness of my heart.
That's right. So then don't bother me about it if you did it
No,
out of the goodness
he told me he was going to pay me for it. It wasn't like he said he was going to pay me for my trouble.
Miss Austin, you did not have a contract with Mr. Atwater, and you certainly didn't
I do have one right here. Yes, I do.
Good, then let me see it. Exactly what I said, Miss Austin. It says you can threaten us all you want. We'll pay for your phone bill. Nowhere does it say that they're going to pay for you taking her to and from jail. I believe that he said to you, if you accept these collect calls, I'll put your hand down. That he agreed to pay for the phone bill, but for nothing else. So that's your claim, $150. Now, you have a counterclaim for harassment.
Yes.
Get to it fast.
Okay, and that statement right there, what she has on the second page, that was after she brought the cops to our house. So we put it in writing. The cop told her to go ahead and take it to the courtroom and file the claim. And she did that.
Just a second.
And she did that.
You said here, I'm going to pay you the money for the phone bill. Stop bothering me.
Exactly.
Right.
But she never stopped.
Let's get to your counterclaim. You've got a counterclaim for harassment for $500. I'm going to hear you. 10 seconds or less.
The harassing emails, taking notes to our door, bringing the cops to our apartment complex where that is not tolerated. We cannot have no kind of commotion going on.
Why didn't you pay her phone bill?
Because I never did tell her that, Your Honor.
I don't believe that. And she was trying to collect the debt. You're not supposed to take advantage of people, Mr. Atwater. Yep. You're not supposed to take advantage of people's feelings and emotions. One girlfriend is in Florida, one friend is here. Friendships usually work both ways. She does a favor for you, you do a favor for her. You did no favors for her. You were a taker. You have to pay her back for the phone. Put your hand down. Are you still bothering them?
No.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Parties are excused, may step out.
21-year-old student Ben Ahrens is suing 18-year-old college football player Brian Payton for beating him up during a night of heavy drinking. Adam Spear has a separate lawsuit against Ben Ahrens for vandalism to his car.
Yeah, this is case number 50 on the calendar, the matter of Ahrens versus Payton. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. You folks have a seat, please.
All right, Mr. Ahrens, it is your claim that Mr. Payton assaulted you.
Correct.
There is sort of a companion case here that I will address either during this case or at some point immediately after involving a Mr. Spear. Is that you?
That's correct.
And you weren't actually there during the course of this whole event, but you allege your car got damaged by Mr. Ahrens while he was drunk. When did this assault take place, sir?
The assault itself occurred at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was with my friends.
I need a date, sir.
December 18th.
12/18/04.
Correct.
Where were you?
I was in the parking lot of the Hilton Hotel, located in Corvallis, Oregon.
What were you doing there?
My friend had a party right next door. It was his birthday party.
And what time had you arrived at the party?
10 o'clock.
How many people were there?
Roughly 8.
A lot of drinking.
Yes, we were all over 21.
I didn't ask how old you were. I said there was a lot of drinking.
Yes, there was a lot of drinking.
What were you drinking then?
I was drinking Miller Lite.
Nothing other than beer?
Correct.
And what happens?
We were outside, out front. There's a fence separating his house and the parking lot. And we were out front there. I was with my friends, Jason. Well, they're actually acquaintances. About 3 girls came out of the Hilton Hotel. At that point, we called over to them to come over and talk to us. So they came over to where we were.
What did you say to them?
I don't exactly remember exactly what we said, but we said, hi, what's going on tonight? What are you guys doing at the Hilton? At that point, approximately 3 to 4 men came out of the hotel and immediately came over to where we were. Mr. Payton targeted me specifically, and he started going after me. I could tell he wanted to fight. He was very aggressive towards me.
Well, tell me what he did, sir.
He said as soon as he came out of the hotel, he said that he saw me looking at him and saluting in a Hitler-like way. I don't know what he was talking about.
Do you know what he's talking about, Mr. Payton?
I know exactly what he's talking about.
What is he talking about, Mr. Payton?
When I walked out of the hotel, we walked over to the young ladies, and they seemed upset, so I walked over and asked him to stop, and he was on the other side of the fence, and he gave me one of those.
Can I interject this one?
What were you doing at the Hilton Hotel that evening?
The dorms were closed at our university, and I was staying there for a school function.
Okay. What time had you started drinking that night?
I'm 18 now, I didn't drink.
Okay, Ben. So you're outside.
And I'm speaking with my friends. It becomes a verbal altercation at that point. So I came over to the fence.
So you jumped over the fence?
Correct, yes.
Why didn't you just go home like you were planning to go?
I wasn't planning on going home that night.
Well, what were you doing outside, Ben?
We were just out front of his house so that we didn't wake up his friends.
I don't understand that, Ben. You were outside because you were making too much noise to be inside?
That would be correct, yes. At that point, I explained to him what I was doing.
What did you mean you explained to him? What does that mean I explained to him?
I told him, I repeated the motion of this. I told him that's the only thing I could have possibly done at that point when he came outside. I told him that. He said, okay, that's all right. And then we shook hands. We exchanged names. We asked them what they were doing, and they said they were going to go and get beer and food. So they got in their car, and they took off. They came back about 10 minutes later, maybe 15 minutes later, and we were still outside.
What were you doing outside, Ben?
We were just sitting on the curb. There's a curb. We were just sitting there. We were just talking amongst ourselves.
Go ahead.
The three girls that were with them, I believe they went straight into the hotel, or
they didn't want to talk to you anymore.
I don't know if they didn't want to talk to us anymore, or if they were just
They didn't want to talk to you anymore. They went right inside.
They went inside.
Go ahead.
Peyton and his friends, they stayed with us out there, and we talked. And at that point, there became a verbal altercation between Mr. Peyton and one of the witnesses, Brown. And I believe it was over food. I believe he asked them if they brought him any food back.
Where is Mr. Brown?
Mr. Brown was unable to come.
So he's not a witness?
Okay.
Because he's not here.
Okay.
So Mr. Brown, one of your friends, asked Mr. Peyton...
Well, he wasn't my friend, he was my acquaintance.
Your acquaintance?
Correct.
On your curb?
Yes.
Asked Mr. Peyton how come they didn't bring him back any food?
Yes.
You think that was because Mr. Brown maybe had a little too much to drink?
Possibly, yes.
Keep going.
So at that point, there was a verbal altercation between him and Mr. Peyton, and I believe Jason might have gotten involved in it a little bit. At that point, I got up and I got in between them, and I pushed them aside, and then I'm not sure exactly what he did. That's about where my memory ends. Shortly after that point, it was because he had struck me to the face. I received a massive concussion. I have photos here if you'd like at this time. You can take a look at that. I fell back. I hit the concrete. I lost about 1.5 pints of blood. You can see my cheek there. It was possibly dislocated.
Looked like you fell back really hard.
Yes. At that point, I had a concussion. I do not remember anything from that point
Good.
on.
Now, Brian.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Like you said, the young ladies did come out the...
Why don't we start with the young lady?
Oh, okay, then.
Because you weren't there. The young lady was there first. Is
Can I
that right?
interject at this point?
No.
Okay.
You came out at some point of the Hilton Hotel.
Yes. Ben and his friends were yelling at us, and...
What were they yelling?
To come over and, like, what were our names, and we could tell that they were very intoxicated. And then the boys came out and were like, these guys won't leave us alone. They keep yelling at us, and they're very intoxicated. And so I believe that Brian asked them to leave us alone.
Did you go out with Brian and his friends for some food? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be a yes.
Yes.
What happened when you came back?
We got out of the car, and they started yelling and stuff like that, and then Ben started beating the car. And the car alarm...
Whose car was it? Your car. He started beating with what? With his fists?
Mm-hmm. And the car alarm was going off. All of us actually asked him numerous times to stop it, and he wouldn't. Brian went up to him to get him to stop, and Ben turned around really fast, and his fist came up, and so Brian obviously felt threatened if he was beating the car this much, and so Brian hit him, and he fell back on the ground and hit his head.
Okay. The police were called?
Yes.
You have the police report?
I have the police report, and
I'd like
if
to
there's
see it,
something I
please.
could say. The police interviewed all the witnesses.
I'd like to see both police reports, and Ben, I can read. You don't have to tell me what it says.
Can I just point one out thing, though, please?
Yes?
They interviewed all the witnesses there, and they took down their names. Her name's nowhere in the police report.
Well, it may not be in the police report, but did they take down the names of the three girls who were...
No, they did not.
Well, so?
I don't recognize her at all. I'm not sure who she is. They interviewed everyone who was there at the time of the incident.
Listen to me. You were so blind drunk, not a question in my mind, that you wouldn't know her if she came up and bit you in the behind. You said there were three girls that came out. It's my job to ascertain who tells the truth and who lies. She told a very cogent story. There is no reason to say that she's lying about being one of the three girls that came out that night that spoke to you.
Why didn't the police interview her then?
I have no idea, sir. I have enough trouble figuring out why I'm here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We were drinking, him included. He started picking a fight. I can quote him on, I can kick two of your guys' right now. And,
Hands off your hips.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ben Aarons says during a night of partying, he was assaulted by college football player Brian Payton. Brian says Ben was drunk and out of control. In a separate lawsuit, Adam Spear is suing Ben Aarons for denting his car.
How did you get the injuries to your hands, sir? How did you get the injuries?
I didn't have any injuries on my hands.
I noted that Mr. Aarons had injuries to both of his hands. He had abrasions and red marks on his fingers that were consistent with him striking something.
This is the photograph of the injury to my hands. This is the dent that my hands allegedly created.
That's one hand. I'll take a look at it. Absolutely.
If you look in the report, it says injuries to both hands.
Right.
If there is injury to both hands, you would see it. The only thing that photo shows is a red strap mark from where I was strapped into the stretcher. You can see that.
No. Police officer noted, sir, that there were massive dents on a car. That would be Mr. Spear's car. And the police officer said to you, did you strike that car? And you said, I don't remember. That was the answer that you gave to the police.
Correct.
Police also said that in addition to beer, you drank liquor.
Yes.
That's what you told the police.
Okay, yes.
You didn't remember to tell me that.
I'm sorry.
Police officer also noted that you and your friends were all drunk, right?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Could I interject one more thing, please? I have a medical report from when I was there. They did a full body analysis on me. There is nothing in there about any injury to my hands. The only thing I could have imagined that he would have seen is I have a medical injury.
Let me explain something to you, sir. You hit his car. You were drunk, and you fisted his car. You may not remember it, but that's what you did. That's what happens when you drink too much. Ben?
Allegedly, yes.
That's what happens when you drink too much, sir. You act goofy and stupid. You try to pick up girls that don't want to have anything to do with you. You hang around where you shouldn't be hanging around outside. And you act goofy and stupid, and you get yourself into trouble when you drink too much. Isn't that right?
Not entirely, no.
Well, you were acting goofy and stupid, too, according to the police report. All of his friends were drunk.
Oh, does it specify my name in there?
Were you at the party?
Yes, I was.
And you weren't drunk?
They didn't take individual statements.
I didn't ask you that question, sir. I said...
I was drinking, but I was not drunk, Your Honor. I'm here for a reason. I'm not his friend. I met him that night.
Good.
I'm here because I can remember things. Everybody else there was too wasted.
Why? She wasn't wasted.
Huh? I'm talking
this
at the party that we were there.
This young lady isn't wasted, sir.
And you know what? She also wasn't there at the moment of the assault.
Step up. Step up. Go ahead.
Trying to twist that around a little bit. I'm not denying that he hit any car.
Good. So let's start there.
Let's start
there. He hit the car.
I did not see him hit the car, no.
Okay. So you weren't there the entire time?
No, I was outside most of the time. I was inside for maybe 3 minutes the whole time.
He was there when I actually got hit. And
I was there and witnessed the assault.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it? Okay.
Take your hands off your hips.
We were standing there having drinks. His friends and him among us had beer. They brought a case of beer. We were drinking, him included. He, Mr. Payton, was pretty hot-headed the whole time. The moment he came up, he started picking a fight with me and Brown, who's not here today. I can quote him on, you guys are pretty stupid. I don't want to hang out with you guys. I don't want to sit here and drink with you. I'm going back to my hotel. I can kick 2 of your guys' right now. That set me, who's pretty hot-headed, if you can't tell, and Brown off. We kind of got up in his face, and he did the same. Some words were said. That's when Ben said he came up and tried to break up the thing. He went back to the hotel for a while with the girls. We still hung out with his 2 other friends. He came back out, and...
hands off your hips.
All right. He came back out. Some more words were said. Ben, at the time, was sitting on the curb drinking a beer. He stood up. Ben wasn't even looking at him. We were all talking. He walked over to Ben and cheap-shotted Ben in the jaw.
So after they left, instead of going back to the house, you stayed in the parking lot. You remember why?
It's a place to sit. We were there already. I can just stay where I want, I believe. It's not against the law.
I love it when it all comes together. Just let him talk. Right?
That's what you do best.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Payton.
Yes.
Here's your problem, sir. Your problem is the statement that you made to the police. And the sum and substance of that statement was that he was loud and obnoxious and drunk.
Yes.
And he kept hitting on Mr. Spear's car.
Correct.
And you told him to stop. And he walked away, and he came back and he hit the car again. And then you hit him.
That's basically, yes, what happened. I didn't intentionally walk to him to hit him. Like, I came back around the vehicle because I walked through the back of the vehicle towards the Hilton.
Whatever. Let me tell you what you said to the police.
Okay.
Mr. Payton, you said to the police, I told him to knock it off. Mr. Payton said that he started to walk away twice, and each time Mr. Aarons began striking the vehicle again. Mr. Payton said that he told Mr. Aarons one last time to quit striking the vehicle, and when he failed to stop, he hit him.
Yeah.
I asked Mr. Payton how many times he hit Mr. Aarons, and he said twice. And that you struck him both times in the face.
Yes.
And you said you were shocked that he fell down because you didn't think you'd hit him that hard. Well, but he was drunk.
Yeah.
Now you can stand up. I'm going to hear this other case. You want to get that folder now? Because I don't have to hear it twice. I've just heard the facts of the case. This is Spear against Aarons.
Case number 49.
Very good. You have an estimate for the damage to your car?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
Would you like the court fees that it's been costing me?
No, just the damage to the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's Mr. Norris? Is he a friend of yours?
Yes.
Okay. Let me tell you what Mr. Norris told the police. This is in the police report. This is the interview. Mr. Norris stated that after Mr. Payton told Mr. Aarons 3 different times to stop hitting the car, he walked up and struck him in the face.
Yeah, I'm not denying that I hit him.
You can't do that. Brian, you can't do that. Now, do you have any unreimbursed medical bills, sir?
Yes, sir. Oh, ma'am.
Hand them up. These are all unreimbursed medical bills, is that right?
Correct.
You had no insurance.
My insurance was denied, yes, no insurance.
You go to school full time?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a job?
No, ma'am.
You can't hit somebody because they're damaging property. He has over $5,000 in unreimbursed medical bills. You have to take care of that. I say this to you, sir, that I think you behaved badly that night, but for the fact that this young man had no right to hit you, believe me, you would leave here today without a judgment. But the law is clear. You cannot defend somebody else's property with physical violence. So I'm awarding you your judgment of $5,000. You are entitled to that. On your claim, I'm awarding you a judgment against Mr. Aarons for $1,500 so that you can fix your car. Anything you want to say to me?
I have right here a list of all the instances where people were hit by OSU football players in the past several months here, and I believe that this shows that there's a lot of animosity from athletes who are out of line and out of control. This happened at 3 a.m. past curfew.
Listen to me, sir. I have no particular axe to grind. I don't even like athletes. What I don't like are young people who get so drunk that they can't remember what's happened. According to the police, according to the doctor, you reeked of alcohol, you had no memory of the assault because you were drunk. Because if you had had any kind of negative vibes with them during the course of the evening, and if you were sober, I can't believe you would be stupid enough to sit in the parking lot of the hotel where they were staying, not you. That's what you keep wanting to answer me, sir, and I'm telling you, that's what happens when you're drunk and stupid. Bad things happen. That doesn't mean he had the right to assault you. It just means that your actions, your purposeful actions in consuming too much alcohol was the proximate cause of all of these events that spiraled out of control that night. And if that's the way you can consume your alcohol, I suggest to you that you don't drink anymore. This case is over. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Gadanian, step forward, please.
Tracy Kennedy, a 28-year-old manicurist, claims her business neighbor, Bijan Gadanian, scammed her into moving out of her premises so he could move in. She says she was promised $3,000, but never received it.
Order, all rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 107 on the calendar in the matter of Kennedy versus Gadanian. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
All right, well, this is an interesting story. Miss Kennedy, you had a beauty salon that was there prior to the defendant's business moving right next door. Is that right?
His business was actually there, but he just bought it. There was the first owner there when I moved in.
But he was not there when you moved in.
Right.
You have a beauty salon. He has a
paging and cellular service business.
Okay. And according to your complaint, you were in this salon for about 6 months when the defendant approached you and said that he was interested in expanding his space.
Right. I was in there for a year, and he had been in there about 6 months when he approached me.
Okay, so after a year he approached you and said,
He pulled me aside on the front porch and said, "Can we talk for a few minutes?" I said, "Sure." He said that he wanted to know how long I intended on being in my space.
And how long was your lease, Miss Kennedy?
I didn't have a lease. It was month to month. But I did plan on being there for quite some time.
How much was the rent on it?
$525 a month.
Okay. So the defendant approached you, according to your papers, and said, "I'm interested in expanding my business. Would you like to move?"
Right.
And you said what?
I said I had no intentions of leaving. Then he said I would be willing to compensate you to leave, move your business elsewhere. And I said, you know, let me think about it for a little while, and I'll get back to you. But I really had no intentions at the time of leaving. I had only been there a year.
So?
So I said, let me think about it. 2 days later, I came back to him, and I said, yeah, I think I want to take up your offer. I think that instead of moving someplace else, I'm just going to, you know, go to work for someone else. The market's really hard to find someone in my business right now, and, you know, I would love to just work for someone else for a while. And I said, you know, I need enough money to pay my bills.
What bills?
The loans that I had on the salon. I had one from the bank, and I borrowed a couple $1,000s from my husband's parents.
So how much did you ask him for?
$3,000 was the agreed amount.
And did he agree to giving you $3,000 if you would move?
Yes.
So he was really buying you out of your space, according to you.
Basically, right.
And what happened, according to your papers,
right,
which I read very carefully, was that eventually you were told that when he went to negotiate his lease with the landlord, he said to him, "I'll give you half of what she was paying in rent."
Right.
The landlord said, "Absolutely not."
Right. He then came next door to me and said the deal's not going to go through, but by then I had already given my girls notice and found another place.
How many employees did you have?
I had 2 girls at the time.
Okay. Ultimately, you did move into that space, sir. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you didn't give her the $3,000.
There was no agreement about $3,000, Your Honor.
Well, I'd like to hear your version of what happened.
Okay, I'll be happy to. Actually, she's right. I approached her. We casually asked her what her plans are, and told her about my intentions to move. I need a larger place. And at that point, she says, "Well, I've been thinking of moving. My business is not doing well, and I'll give you an answer. I got to talk it over with my husband. I'll give you an answer." And then a couple days later, she approached me and said, "Yes, indeed, I've talked it over, and I've decided to move." And she asked me for compensation. I said, "Tracy, this is not, the right time to talk about anything at all. No. I don't even know."
No. Just a sec. Shh. Ms. Kennedy. Shh.
I don't even know if I can reach an agreement with the landlord. So please let me talk to the landlord, see if I can reach any agreement with him. And then if there is anything to talk about with you, we'll talk about it.
That doesn't sound right to me, sir.
No, that's not what happened.
There's just a second. That doesn't sound logical to me, sir. So what you're telling me is the amount of $3,000, that figure, never came up in your discussion with her.
She threw that number at me.
Okay.
I'm not
so
denying
it did.
That,
so
yes.
It did come up in your discussion. And you asked her if she would like to relocate because you wanted to expand your business.
That's not in the context it came up, though, Your Honor.
Well, you did, in fact, expand your business into her space.
That's correct, yes.
So this is what we have so
Yes.
far. We have your discussion with her about your wanting to expand, her throwing out a figure, which you acknowledge that she threw out a figure of $3,000. Your statement, well, it's not a good time to talk about it now. I have to talk to the landlord first. Now, did you speak to the landlord?
Yes.
And what was that conversation with the landlord, sir?
At that point, I offered a total of close to...
Not a total. I'm not interested in total. I'm interested in what you are telling me under oath that you offered the landlord for her store to rent.
I did not offer landlord a particular price for her space. I
offered for total.
For total,
okay.
my
We're
space.
going to get... I understand.
Okay. I'm sorry.
How much were you paying for your store alone, sir?
$550, $551.
For your store alone?
That's correct.
And what did you offer the landlord for both places?
$900.
So, in effect, you offered the landlord substantially less than what she was paying.
That's correct, yes.
After she had given notice that she was leaving.
That's correct, yes.
So now you got the landlord by the throat.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Honestly, I had no participation in her moving out.
I'm going to give him a copy of my book.
And later today,
he advertised our show as Playboy Girls of Rock, as Playboy. And they were going to see a bunch of beautiful women in bras and panties.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tracy Kennedy says she moved out of her manicurist salon because Bijan Gidanian promised her $3,000. She says he never paid her and the whole deal was a scam.
The landlord has a tenant that's given him notice. He's got somebody else ready to move in right away. And you were going to get a bargain because you were going to get 2 stores for $900. Was your store the same size as his?
Bigger.
Bigger. So you were going to get her store for $400. You were paying $550 for yours, so the landlord said to you at that point, forget it, right?
Your Honor.
At that, just a second. We understand each other, this gentleman.
Glad someone does.
We understand each other, so don't we?
Yes,
So the
Your Honor.
landlord said to you, forget it, at first. Then you moved out.
Right.
You moved out in June, correct?
Yes.
When did you move in?
July 1st.
And what rent did you pay?
About $950, close to $1,000.
You're a
Let's
good
say
businessman.
$1,000.
No, not let's say
No, I-
$1,000. Sir, you're a businessman. You know exactly what you pay for rent in this business. So let's not say about the $950. Exactly what do you pay in rent?
Your Honor, the only reason I say about, because the rent itself is the rent, but there are some other triple nets and what have you that figures in that I'm not quite sure. That's what I'm saying about. That's why I say about $1,000. I'm sorry?
Rent.
The rent, the base rent is $950.
Rent!
$950, Your Honor.
So you still got the landlord for a couple of bucks, but he didn't give you the lease right away. Did you sign a lease with him?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. I had a year lease with him.
And you signed another lease for the second space
That's correct, Your Honor.
at a monthly rent of $950.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So the landlord lost that. So where's her money?
There was no money agreed upon, Your Honor, to begin with. She did not have to move. Honestly, I had no participation in her moving out.
no.
All I had with her was just
God.
a casual conversation for her, what are your plans? And she acted upon that.
I had to give him a copy of my book. Sir,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
I come from an old business family. My grandfather was in the appliance business years and years ago, and he's been long dead. I adored my grandfather. He liked to call himself a shrewd businessman. Some of the people that he dealt with sort of dubbed him with another name. So I'm aware of what you did. This story has a common sense approach to it. You wanted to expand. This lady was under the impression you were going to take over the same rent that she took over. Nobody would be hurt. She had evidently had enough of being an entrepreneur, enough of being in business by herself. She said, if I can just get out with these loans, I'll go and work for somebody else. And here comes the perfect opportunity for her to do that. And it's a perfect opportunity for you to more than double your space at a lot less rent. Because once she gives notice, the landlord is up a tree. So the only one that comes out ahead in this business is you. That's smart, but not fair to Miss Kennedy. All right, not difficult. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff, who I believe, in the amount of $3,000. That's
Thank you,
all.
Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back go to your right, please.
I'm sorry that the judge did not see the con artist
She
in
did.
disguise.
She saw you. Exactly. If
She
you
could
had made me an
she
offer,
could
I
have
wouldn't
stayed there. She could have absolutely stayed there and
No.
forgotten about
No.
leaving.
The judge was
She had
right.
no reason to leave.
You're right. She saw the con artist. Judge Judy's the greatest.
And now the next case.
Parties on Russell versus Heinold. Step forward, please.
32-year-old entertainer Karen Russell is suing booking agent Chuck Heinold for non-payment of a performance fee. Heinold says the act wasn't what was promised.
Ms. Russell, according to your complaint, you are an entertainer and have a group of entertainers that you work with. You dance and sing. You have a review kind of act. Is that right? according to your complaint, you performed in Bakersfield and you weren't paid.
That's
Is that
correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The defendant is not the person who didn't pay you. The club, according to these papers, stopped payment on the check.
This is true.
So why are you suing him? Who is he and why are you suing him?
This is the booking agent, Chuck Heinold. In my contract with the casino is with him representing me.
With who representing you?
Chuck Heinold representing me.
Let me see your contract.